Tuesday, whatever the date is, don't know, don't much give a fuck, because I ain't going nowhere. I said to after Labor Day, but man, I don't know when the freaking holidays are. I didn't know we was already past Labor Day, so I still ain't leaving till Tuesday. Figured it in my brain, I'm not going to cheat my brain. I'll leave Tuesday, that's plenty. I run a lot of fucking miles, man. It's good company, they let me do that. See, I'm walking back to the truck. Sitting here running. See, when I'm off, I still do shit that has to do with the truck. I'm gonna let it run for a while. Then I'll shut it off, look for leaks. Oil leaks, transmission leak, whatever. It'll be sitting right there. There ain't none now. So when I shut it off, shouldn't be none later. Thursday, I'm going to take it down to the local car wash here. It's big enough I can get this big sumbitch under it and wash it. See how that front spring looks? That's the paint they put on. You can't paint springs because they move. The paint cracks and come off. Don't paint them. Just oil them down. Wipe them down with the oily rag. Not like soaking oily. Get them clean. Wipe them down with the oily rag. Then you can see any defects in it then. If it gets a crack in it, with that oil on there, it's going to show up. You don't want to paint your springs. You're wasting your damn time. I don't give a fuck what kind of paint it is. Paint's not meant to move. Springs move. So don't paint your springs. That's a dumbass fucking rookie mistake. You don't do that. Let your springs be the color of the steel. See a lot of rust? You got something loose. You need to look at your spring, figure out what's loose. Shouldn't have no rust either. The bushing should be good. I'm gonna look at all that while I'm here. That truck's gonna get a thorough gone through. Everything. Yes, I'm drinking beer now. But I ain't going nowhere. Right back there, hit the spot. That's diesel fuel. I got a little bit of a leak. That needs to be addressed. Why is that leaking? It can only be a couple things. Probably the O-ring on that fitting is bad, but I'm not losing a lot of fuel there. Nothing to really worry about, but shouldn't be there. Ain't supposed to be like that, so we're gonna fix that. See this here? My last truck, they left that loose. That's some kind of air sensor off your exhaust coming out of your turbo. Cutting the power down on my truck, I found it. The dealer left it loose where we bought the truck. They've done that twice. You've seen where I bought it. I got a video of the back of the truck. That's where I bought it. Not me, the guy that owns this truck. I didn't buy it. I just drive it. It's not my truck. You don't leave shit like that loose, man. How do you do that? That's on the turbo. That turbo goes out, this truck shuts down. It don't run. It ain't making no money. You don't do that. You don't leave shit loose. They had to go all the way back through what the guy had done when I was there before. I don't even remember now because I've been there so many times. They had to go all the way back through and tighten up what he worked on because he left a bunch of shit loose. So, since I went in this time, the moisture detection sensor is bad, which turns your headlights or your wipers on. Which in my case, it made my wipers not want to work at all. I had no wipers in a rainstorm and drove for 4 or 5 miles with no wipers, and finally I was like, man, I got to get the fuck off the road. I can't see. It was a torrential downpour. But once I figured it out, I had to shut the truck off so the computer wasn't no longer running the wipers. I had to leave it shut off until the computer actually detached. You can hear it, you'll hear psh, psh, air sound. That means it's shut down, it's done, it ain't doing shit. Then you can start it back up, and that moisture detector is not doing anything till I move. Once I move, but as long as I don't turn the wipers on automatic, then the only thing it fucks with is my lights. It'll make my lights come on and I can't shut them off. To shut them off, I have to shut the truck off. I gotta shut the computer down. Once you shut it off, you gotta wait for like 30 seconds. Then the computer shuts down. Once it shuts down, you can restart the truck and have control of the lights. But if I hit rain right now, that moisture detection sensor is making all the lights come on and make the wipers come on. If I have them on auto, as long as I leave them off, it doesn't do that. So I just leave them off and turn it on like I've always done my whole damn career. It starts raining, I turn the wipers on. If it's not, I turn them off. But it's been kind of a pain in the ass because a couple times I'll park, and if I don't leave the running lights on, just like the trailer lights, then when I shut them all the way off with that moisture detection sensor bad, it turns my passenger light headlight on when I'm sitting in a truck stop. So that way when people wake up, they got to stare at my headlight. I don't like that. So I have to leave the lights on. But since I went in, the last time I went in and had this truck worked on at the shop where they bought it at, before that, I could pick up radio stations for music like anywhere. I'd been out in Iowa, way out in the plains, and picked up a radio station. But the last trip in, now when I turn the radio on, it says check antenna on the stereo. So that tells me that they unplugged the antenna for some reason and just left it unplugged. So my antenna's not hooked up. I was going to hook it up, but it's a little deeper than what I want to go because it's down in the dash. I can get in through the top where the circuit panel is, but to reach in behind that, I have to move the circuit panel, and I'm not going to do all that. They're going to hook it back up. For some reason, they unhooked the antenna. I don't know why. But who knows? But I don't listen to music much anyway. When I do, I listen on my phone. I plug my own speaker in and listen on my phone. My system blows this stereo out of the fucking water, man. It'll bump this truck. But that's what we're bumping today, beers. That thing is not going nowhere till Thursday. It's going to go down and get washed. I'm going to wash it myself. We're going to wash every nut, every bolt, the whole fender, all the way down the side. We're going to open the sides up and wash the frame. It's going to get a thorough wash job. Should be clean as a pan when it goes back on the road. That's what you're supposed to do. You take care of your ride, man. You look at it. You get up there and stand on that catwalk and look down and see what you see. I found out that my tensioning bolt on my fifth wheel, that bolt that sticks out the side, it's got a lock nut on it. That's what tensions up your spring inside your release. If you run that in, it makes it tighter to where it'll grab harder. If you back it out, it grabs looser. Well, I'd had problems with the fifth wheel unhooking when I'm loaded. I got to roll the legs down, take the weight off the truck, which I got to roll them down quite a bit. I got to put it in the low side and probably crank it 100 to 150 cranks before this fifth wheel will release. That's too tight. You shouldn't have to do it that much. So I was checking the bolt, see if I could loosen up the clamp a little bit myself, and it's bent. It's not much, it's just a gradual bend, enough that it's not going to, when you loosen it, you're actually running that bolt in. It's pushing things apart. Well, it's not going to go in anymore, and I never noticed it to be bent before. I thought I had looked at this really hard. Evidently I hadn't, because I don't see any marks on it. And to bend that bolt, it's a 1/2 inch drive bolt. It's a big bolt. It's a 1/2 inch thick. You're not going to just bend that. That's going to take some doing. Here, I'll just show you. This is, somebody did something mechanical before the guy that owns this truck bought it. Somebody's done this. But see how that's bent? It shouldn't look like that. This nut is supposed to be secured in against here, and it's not. That keeps that fifth wheel, the locking mechanism, in place where you want it. And without this, a lot of times I can't unhook. It just will not come unhooked. I can rock the truck back and forth. I'm only one person. You can unhook it with two people, because you can rock the truck and you'll hit it and you can pull it out, but I don't have two people all the time. And who wants to stick their arm in there when these big ass tires are moving? You're shaking the truck back and forth. That's kind of sketchy. That's not a good feeling. I don't like doing it, but it's been a problem ever since I've had this truck, and I'm pretty sure that's why. You can't adjust the claws of how hard, whenever you hook up to that trailer, how hard that thing is pinching around that fifth wheel, around the fifth wheel pin. It's evidently pinching too hard because it doesn't want to come loose. You should be able to reach in there, put that handle in the slot, and like I told you how the Volvos have, put it in the slot and pull straight out, no problem. But this one, man, it's like you hit it's like clunk, 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 and won't pull. You got to jack it up. You shouldn't have to do all that. That's why. So we'll get that fixed. It'll be a pain in the ass to get out, but they'll just have to follow the head of that bolt around like this, use an air gun, and just back it out real slow and go all around like this till you get it all the way out, put a new one in, then we can adjust it the correct way, make the fifth wheel release like it's supposed to. Just reach in, pull it. You should have to pull a little bit. You don't want to have to put a whole lot of pressure on, but 25, 30 pounds of pressure, that's normal. Anything over that where you're pulling it really hard, something ain't right. You got to jack it up, you got to back in against it harder, or something. It's a combination of things. So, but that's what I do when I'm off. I'm going to let it run for 4 or 5 hours, not do anything, just let it run. Then I'll shut it off. I already looked at the ground before I parked it. There was no oil spots, no nothing. Then I'll shut it off and let it sit for 3 or 4 hours. Then I'll fire it up, pull it forward, then go back and look at the ground. See if I got any drips anywhere. If I do, I'll figure out where they're at. I'll get them fixed. You have to do that. Look at your front end. Check everything out. Raise your hood up. Look at that front end. Work it left. Work it right. Look for things that ain't right. It's when you do this. That's what makes your bread and butter. You take care of that right there, it'll take care of you. Y'all be safe. Make smart decisions. Don't drink and drive. Yeah, I'm home. I'm drinking a beer. But I am not driving, without a doubt, today for no reason any at all. I'm sitting on my front porch. It's what I call home for now. Till I get to the Philippines. I'm not going to be operating that truck today. Yeah, it's running, but I will not be driving that truck anywhere till Thursday when I wash it. So, you guys be smart, be safe. This is what I'm doing, man. I'm in Cold Grove, Ohio. Y'all be good, man. Truck hard, truck safe. Always make smart decisions.